Okay, hey guys, the card list has dropped. You guys have read the title, so we're gonna go through all the red cards. We're gonna go through their abilities. We're gonna go through how they might fit into decks, and we're gonna go through their arts. Very cool art, and let's begin. So first up is Vivi, Red Blue Leader, OP04 001. She is 5 life and she is 5,000 power. She's a slash type, and she is obviously Alabaster Kingdom. So the leader cannot attack. It's obviously cannot attack, kind of like Iceberg. And her main ability is that once per turn, using 2 Don, okay, she can draw a card, and also up to one of your characters gains rush during this turn. Now, this is a very strong ability for red. I have tried out the VV deck. I've played against someone trying out the VV deck. Just we haven't even used the entire card list because they came out today. But using the cards that have just been released in the last few weeks, VV can be very strong because you can give rush to characters like Nico Robin and use their ability immediately. You can a lot of like one cost characters as well, especially if you play one cost meta. You can play like one cost Sunny, give rush to it, use Makino, etc. So it's a very strong card. There's a lot of potential here, and you will see here, like in the cards that we're about to go through, there's a lot of support for VV as well. So let's go to the second one. So you have Igaram, rare card. Okay, 2 cost, 3,000 power, range type, also Alabaster Kingdom. And Igaram's main is that you can rest the character and you can give one of your active leaders minus 5,000 power. So rest Igaram, VV will get minus 5,000 power, and then it's a searcher. And I think this is very good because first off, it gives Alabaster Kingdom type searcher, 2 VV, and searchers are always useful. It's also not an on-play searcher, it's a main ability searcher, meaning you can use him every turn. And if you didn't want to use him, then you could stack 2 Don on him, use him to attack as well, because he's 3,000 power. And because VV cannot attack, giving her minus 5,000 power is fine, as in it isn't a problem. I think this ability is basically meant to work with VV. Like there wouldn't be any reason for you to like use minus 5,000 power on Zoro or Whitebeard or another leader, but I think here it does work quite well. Usopp, another great art. Red uncommon, 4 cost, 5,000 power, wisdom type, and Alabaster Kingdom and Straw Hat Pirates. So his ability is that when KO'd, so when Usopp is KO'd, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with an original power of 5,000 or less. It's important to see that it's a when KO'd ability. So this works even if you jet pistol him, even if you beat him in battle. If Usopp is KO'd, he can KO up to one of your opponent's characters. It's the original power of 5,000 or less. So even if your character had 7,000 power after Dons, it would rely on its original power. So you could get rid of like Rush Zoro. You could get rid of a lot of like cards that have below 5,000 power. And I think that almost makes him a staple in this deck, because when you play him, he is a 5,000. You can swing with him for 5,000 every single turn, and either they get rid of him and lose that one of their own characters, or they leave him alone and he just continues to swing every turn. And I think that makes him very good, makes him a staple, at least in my opinion, from what I've seen right now in the VV deck. And yeah, it's a very nice card. I like the sort of tactics that they're going for red. Next up, we have Karu, red common, 1 cost, 2,000 power, strike type. He is animal and Alabaster Kingdom. Now, animal is actually important here, and I will talk about that more later on with a different card. But You can see that he's one cost, which is good already. Like one cost meta has been going quite strong. So just another character that can use Makino to power themselves up. And the main ability is you can rest this card and attach up to one rested Don to each of your Alabaster Kingdom type characters, which I think is very like ridiculously strong because it basically means that you're able to freely give everyone a +1. Okay, and I think this sort of like makes up this card, and then in conjunction with Cobra later on, which we'll also go through, essentially makes up for Zoro's ability to Vivi. And I think that makes it a very good card because, yeah, you're giving everyone one rested Don. There's nothing more to say. Very strong card. And it is also animal type, which is good. And I'll tell you why later. And Kung Fu Dugong, red common, one cost 1000 power, animal Alabaster Kingdom. We've talked about this before in a reveals video as well. And you can see that the ability is if you have a Kung Fu Dugong in play other than this character gains blocker. And the problem that time was that since you only have 4 of these characters, finding them and also playing them can be hard because you have to have more than one for them to have blocker. However, I will say that with the Egram Searcher, for example, and again, animal type, I will talk about this later on, but animal type is actually important here. You can very easily now play this card, and I think that makes it very good. And now we have Koza, 2k counter, red uncommon, 3 cost, 3000 power. When attacking, you may give one of your active leaders minus 5000 power this turn. This character gains plus 2000 power until your next start of turn. So once again, meant to be used with Vivi, but essentially you can minus 5000 on Vivi, she can't attack, it doesn't matter anyway. And then Koza will go up to 5000 power. Also, it does say until your next start of turn, so this means that even like if someone was to attack him, he wouldn't be 3k, he would be 5k if he had used that ability, which I think is very good. And he's also a 2k counter, so even if you weren't to play him, you could keep him as a 2k counter. And I think, yeah, it works very well in a VV deck, and it could potentially work well in some other red decks as well. Personally, I am thinking that the problem with some of these like minus 5000 ones is that obviously they're meant to be used with VV, and I have to consider how can I use them with other decks. Now, with, for example, Zoro himself can attack, and you always give him 1 Don to use his ability, which is 6k, and you don't really want to waste that attack. However, here, if you were to use Koza, you would be able to essentially have Koza on 6k if Zoro had a Don, and also attack. And I guess it could like work in some random scenarios. It doesn't really fit Zoro, it doesn't really fit Whitebeard. I will say though that it could fit leaders like Garp, because if you sort of like think of sort of how Garp works, if you were to like stack Koza, lower cost, use other cards as well to like KO cost, and then attack with Koza, could work somewhat. And yeah, I mean, I will definitely be trying out a lot of variations of different cards and different decks to show you guys how they will sort of fit together, how cards might work, how cards might not work. I think one of my like sort of problems playing the game in real life has been that I haven't settled on a deck. I'm very interested in playing every card, I want to try every card. I want to make sure that every card has a place, because I think right now the meta is very like biased in a way. I want people to know that even if you like a certain character, you can go for them, play them, why not? I'll be checking out cards, make sure to stick around for that. So next up is Sanji. This art is very cool. I'll try and put a picture up here, but I like it because you guys can see here that this is Bon Clay's leg. The purple Bon Clay character and Sanji fit together like in one art, which I thought was kind of cute, kind of cool. And yeah, red common, one cost, 3,000 power. Good. One cost. I'm for red. One cost is actually quite good, just because you guys know, like that means that you can search for one cost characters. You can use Machino, give them power, and yeah. So Alabaster Kingdom, Straw Hats, Pirates, no effect, but could be useful. Chaka, another red rare, 3 cost, 5,000 power, slash type. And his ability is that when attacking, if your leader is Vivi, this only works with Vivi, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 3,000 power for the turn, then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 0 power or less. I think this is quite good because obviously he himself is giving minus 3,000 power. So his effect, minus 3,000 would occur first, then the 0 power or less would occur. Meaning that if someone was on 3,000 and he was attacking, he would bring them to 0, then KO them. Also, in conjunction with like Otama, who's a 2k counter, this can work very well to get rid of a lot of characters. And I think that, yeah, makes him quite strong. And he's also 5k, so if you're attaching a Don to him, you're swinging for 6k as well. So yeah, very like it's a useful card for Alabaster. It basically is like Alabaster's own version of like Nico Robin, for example. And it's like a mixture as well. Like Nico Robin KOs a certain power or less. This is you give minus power and KO, which even like for example, you could give this doesn't have to be the same. So you could give an opponent's character minus 3,000 power, then on top of that, KO a different character that's 0 power or less, which could be very useful. And yeah, it's very strong. We'll see. I think it's a staple for Vivi deck. We'll try it out and see at another time. Yeah, so Super Spot Build, Duck Squad, Red Uncommon, 2 cost, 3,000 power, another animal type, Alabaster Kingdom. So when attacking, give up to one of your active leaders minus 5,000 during this turn. We've seen this a lot of times. It's meant to work with Vivi. Return this card to your hand at the end of your turn. Now, this is very useful because it means that you can play this card. Okay, you could play this card for 2 Don. You could use Vivi to give this card rush. Okay, that would be 2 Don. And then you could, like, if you had a 10 Don turn and you had nothing else to play, you could stat like 6 Don on him, attack for 9k, and then he would come back and act as a 2k counter, which I think is a very cool card. I know it like people probably aren't going to use it because it is sort of like situational, but I do think it's a cool card. Even like with Zoro, you can imagine like if you played this with, for example, like once again, I know people won't play it with Zoro because Zoro, people prefer Zoro to attack. But I'm saying that if you were to play him with Zoro and you just completely sacrifice Zoro, it could work because you could do something like Zoro has 1 Don. That means that when you play this character, he would have 4,000 Don, which is like when he would attack the next turn, you would be swinging for basically you swing for 5,000, get 2k counter back, etc. etc. So there's a lot of scenarios in which you could play this. I'm telling you guys that I will definitely be playing all these decks on simulator. If you guys want me to try certain decks, let me know in the comments and I'll keep it in mind. I have a whole list. And yeah, animal type is also important. Once again, I'll show you. I think it should be this card. Here we go. Chopper, red common, 3 cost, 4,000 power, Alabaster Kingdom, Straw Hat Pirates. His on-play ability is play up to 1 card of animal type with 3,000 power or less from your hand. Meaning that all the animal types that we saw, there's a lot of animal types that have, like, not a lot, but like there are quite a fair amount of animal type characters that you can play with Chopper. And I think that makes him very cool. And because on playability, also maybe one day we'll get a Chopper animal type leader, you know, who knows. The game can do whatever they want. Maybe we will. Yeah, maybe we'll get a Chopper leader. It'll be the animal meta someday. But yeah, so I think, yeah, it's a cool card. you can play up to one card of animal type. I think that makes him very useful because obviously you're saving some level of Don and playing other characters. You could give him rush because he's only 4k. You could easily attack with him as well. And yeah, it's a useful card. And I will definitely try it out. And the next one is Nami, yes. Red common, 2 cost, 3000 power, wisdom type. When attacking, reveal one card from the top of your deck. If that card was a character card with 6000 power or more, this character gains plus 3000 power during this turn. Then put the revealed card at the bottom of the deck. Now, for me personally, this is a weird card. I don't know how much like to justify this card, because if I was to attack with Nami and that 6k or more power, 6k or more card was like Whitebeard, I might cry during the game. And like, I know it gives her 6k, but it really is like a bit like, is it worth it? Is it not? And yeah, I don't like, obviously I will try it out, but I don't really think that it's a card worth it. I think it very much is like a sort of like a, maybe if you're trying to go for game, you want to risk it. The only card that you can play. But yeah, then, you know, we'll see. Because personally, I don't think it's useful. I mean, at least they got a nice art, you know. Like, they always give Nami some cool arts. And yeah, weird. I personally, I find it quite weird. Because especially now, there's so many like low cost decks. Like, not a lot of decks have a lot of high power. Like, especially like if we're thinking like red, for example, red, the like low cost meta is such a thing in red. So like the only high cost characters might be like SR Marco, Whitebeard. So I really don't know what they're expecting for this, but we'll see. Then we have Cobra. This card, love it, love the art, love the ability. Red common, 2 cost, 0 power. Your turn. Other than this character, your Alabaster Kingdom type characters gain plus 1000 power, meaning that it's not even a rested ability. It's just you play him, everyone other than him on Alabaster Kingdom gains plus 1001 power. Like, I think this is a very strong card. I think even though it's 2 cost, I wouldn't play it like at 2 turn. You wouldn't want to get rid of him. I think it's something like when you set your board up and then like turn your 3rd turn or your 4th turn, if you got some characters down, you might play him to boost everyone and start swinging for higher amounts. But yeah, it's a very cool character. It basically gives Zoro's ability to all your Alabaster Kingdom type characters. Which is why I think Vivi, like I said, Vivi has a lot of support, and it gives her a lot of like, I think, synergy essentially. Like, I really like the synergy in this deck, and we'll go through it. We'll try them out in another video for sure. Hell, red SR, 5 cost, 6000 power. And yeah, Dawn ×1 when attacking, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 4000 or less power. So it's just a stronger Robin essentially. And like I said, this works well with Otama, works well in conjunction with some of these other types that also can lower power. And all round, you know, he's KOing characters, he's attacking. It's a cool card, cool art as well. The parallel, I think, will look quite cool as well, like just from the glimpses that we've got. We've got Luffy. This obviously the Luffy from the actual pack himself, like on the pack. Uncommon, 8 cost, 9000 power. I like the art here, and he possesses Banish. He's 8 cost, meaning that if you were to play him, you could use Vivi's ability on him to obviously give him rush and attack straight away, which is good. And because he's banished, people wouldn't be able to use triggers. Is it the best card? No, could it see play? Probably. I might play it in Vivi. Maybe I'm not sure about 4, but I think having like 2 or 3 in case like it comes up, it's a good like end turn thing. Zoro, I think this is the last character from the first set. So Zoro, red rare, 5 cost, 6,000 power, Alabaster Kingdom, Straw Hats Pirates, and his on play is give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2,000 power during this turn. So if you don't like playing Otama, you now have Otama beefed up. This is beefy Otama. They've given Otama's ability to Zoro, and you know you can play him and give minus 2,000 power. So very good card. This is what I mean, that they're giving so many characters like minus 2,000 power. Like if you were to use this Zoro, then you had like Pell already on the board from a different turn, you would be able to use Pell's ability even, you know, stronger. You could use Nico Robin in conjunction with this. I know it's on play, but that's the thing, like for these 5 costs, like say for example you had Nico Robin at your 3 cost turn, you could play 5 cost Zoro and then use Nico Robin. Nico Robin's a bit like then not your 3 cards, but if you have 4 cards maybe because you need to apply 1 Don. And even later game it works even better because you can start using like play a character and then use 2 Don to use Vivi's ability to give them rush. I think it is a cool card, cool art, and definitely we'll see play just because people like Zoro anyway. Events. So the first one, anti-mana kick course. I genuinely can't believe that they gave a 0 cost event to red. And yeah, it's a 0 cost event. I mean, that has to be a must have. You can trash 1 card from your hand, which remember with Vivi, every time she uses her ability, she draws a card. So you guys will have cards if you're using Vivi. And you can give up to one of your leaders or characters plus 3,000 power this battle. And as a trigger, give up to one of your opponent's leaders or characters minus 3,000 power. So yeah, it's a counter. It's guard point, but better. But because it's 0 cost, like this is, I think 0 cost cards shouldn't exist. But here we are. They couldn't let red slide because now it's like sometimes it's like, oh, do I like use my Don? Do I not use my Don? And now it's like, even if I use all my Don, the opponent will think that maybe I have nothing. So I think the bluffing game will go hard with this one. And yeah, if you get more than one of these in your hand, you might be blessed. Next we have Happiness Punch, red common, 1 cost event. And it's a counter, give up to one of your opponent's leaders or characters minus 2,000 power. Then if your leader is active, give up to one of your opponent's leaders or characters minus 1,000 power for the turn. So yeah, like 2,000 power, and then if you have an active leader, then a further 1,000 power, which works well for Vivi since you can't attack with her. Only I think 1 card is like rest your leader. Most of them are like minus her power, right? So yeah, basically Vivi will almost always be active. So it means that you can essentially give up to minus 3,000 power to a character. Lastly, the last event card is Captivating Blade Dance, red uncommon, 3 cost event. If your leader is Alabaster Kingdom type, so once again only Vivi right now, give up to 2 of your opponent's characters minus 2,000 power for the turn. And furthermore, activate this card's main effect as a trigger, if you got it as a trigger. So yeah, there's a lot of minus powers like to give, like especially this, like once again, minus 2,000 power, you can use so many things like Jet Pistol, you can use Pell, you can use Nico Robin, so many cards that like remove low cost characters. So yeah, these are really quite good. And so yeah, so these are now on OP04 018. That's the 18 red cards of like the main set, and then we have the SEC. We've gone through this before. SEC Vivi, 7 costs 4,000 power. You're like, why does a 7 cost only have 4,000 power? The reason is because her ability is cracked. All of your red characters with a cost of 3 or more, other than this character, gain rush. Which is just like, even now saying it, I'm like, I don't believe it. Because once you play this card, essentially, like your survivability, like you play this card, your opponent wants to get rid of this card, okay? And they will waste resources in trying to get rid of this card. Because if you play this card at your 7 cost turn or your 8 cost turn, your next turn, you could potentially go for game. And I think that makes it a very strong card. Yeah, 4,000 power is quite easy to get rid of, but it does mean that your opponent has to waste resources in getting rid of. So we will see how useful it can be. I'll definitely be trying it out. OP04 card list only dropped today for me, so in the simulator at least it might take like a week or so for it to fully come out. There are some cards already in the simulator. They've had a new update, and I've been trying out some of their decks. I tried out Vivi, I tried out Rebecca, and they're looking interesting and fun to play. So lastly, just want to say that, like, once again, we did get some peaks of the parallels. We got parallel Vivi look, like this is the leader Vivi. You can see like a better look here. And we got to look at Pell. They haven't released any like official card arts of the red parallels yet, but they should do so in the next, like either tomorrow or the day after. I will be making a video going through all the parallels, so stick around for that. I did also make a video breaking down this teaser video and all the parallels that were shown there. So check those videos out. Let me know what you guys think of red. Let me know what cards you guys are looking forward to playing. Check out the other videos. Well, I'll be doing green soon. I'll be doing all the colors and a full breakdown and how they might fit into decks. And yeah, see you guys in the next video.